I've seen countless tourists making these easily avoidable mistakes, some of which I made myself as a regular tourist to Japan. If you watch this video, you can avoid these common mistakes and save time and money, making your journey through Japan much more enjoyable. Not booking attractions in advance. Many tourists assume they can simply show up at popular attractions and get in right away, thinking the worst-case scenario is just a long line. Wrong! Many of the places you've seen on Instagram, YouTube and TikTok require advance reservation with specific time slots. Without a booking, you might not even get in at all. Examples? Team Labs Tokyo and Shibuya Sky. These attractions can sell out days or even weeks in advance. To avoid disappointment, I recommend booking at least a couple of weeks ahead. Your ticket will have a fixed time slot and you'll only be allowed entry during that window. If you miss it, you're out of luck. They won't let you in. If you show up on the day without a reservation, you'll have two options. All tickets could be sold out. You'll have to take whatever time slots are left, forcing you to adjust your entire schedule around them. Japan is strict about punctuality. When I visited a butler cafe, my friend was running late. If she hadn't arrived, I would have to pay for her spot anyway. So if you're planning to visit observation decks, towers, exhibitions or other popular spots, check their websites in advance and book your tickets to ensure a smooth and stress-free experience. Assuming all food places need booking. I know this mistake sounds like the opposite of previous one in like, Tori, what do you mean? Do we need to make a booking or not? Listen, hear me out. Many people miss out on local food spots, like izakaya or restaurants, because they see long lines and assume that a reservation is necessary. However, this is often not the case. If a restaurant has a line, you typically need to sign up your name at the front. They usually maintain a special list for this purpose. Sometimes they may use an electronic system that provides a QR code for the waitlist. If there is no line, you can simply walk in and let them know how many people need to be seated. If a table is available, you'll be seated immediately. If not, you may have to wait for a short time. So don't assume that everything needs to be booked in advance. Most food places you encounter in Japan are designed for walk-in customers. Relying only on JR Pass. In my travel tips for first-time visitors, I advised against buying the JR Pass because, in my opinion, it's too expensive now. Some travelers might find ways to make it more cost-effective, but honestly, I still don't think it's worth it. I've traveled both with and without JR Pass, back when it was cheaper. And even if the pass were still as affordable as before, I'd still prefer traveling without it. Why? Because relying solely on JR lines limits your flexibility. You always have to plan your route around JR trains or buses, instead of just taking the most convenient option. If you value freedom in your itinerary, it's better to skip the JR Pass and budget for transportation separately. You don't always need to take Shinkansen. There are plenty of affordable buses and non-JR train lines that can take you to amazing places across Japan. That being said, I'm not against passes in general, quite the opposite. I'll cover that in the next mistake. Not checking local passes. Many travelers arrive in a new city in Japan and immediately start using public transport without checking for local transportation passes, especially when short on time. But these passes can help you visit more places for less money. If a city offers a pass, you'll usually see signs for it at the station. If not, head to a tourist information center and ask. Here are some great examples of local passes. Nikko Pass covers transport to famous waterfalls and Lake Chuzenji. Hakone Pass, ideal for exploring Hakone's scenic spots. Kawagoe Bus Pass, a budget-friendly way to explore this Edo-style town. Sendai Loop Bus Pass, convenient for sightseeing in Sendai. For short trips, a local pass can be the best way to experience a city efficiently and affordably. But be aware, don't repeat the mistake I mentioned in my travel disasters video. Always check the transport schedules. You don't want to arrive in a city only to find out that public transportation has stopped for the day. And that leads us to the next mistake. Not researching schedules outside big cities. When traveling around Tokyo, Kyoto and Osaka, it might seem like public transportation runs almost non-stop, making you assume it works the same way everywhere in Japan. Well, that's not the case. In more remote areas like Hakone or even parts of Arashiyama, buses often run on limited schedules, sometimes only on certain days, arriving just once every 30 minutes or even once an hour. And don't expect late-night service. Many routes stop running around 6 p.m. This is a mistake I still make sometimes as a tourist to Japan. So always check the schedules in advance, especially when traveling outside major cities. Relying only on one type of transport. I totally understand why this mistake happens. Japanese trains are so reliable, affordable, and incredibly efficient. It's easy to assume that they're the best option for every trip. But relying only on trains is a mistake. You should also consider buses, and for less touristy areas, even Uber can be a great alternative. While Japanese taxis are expensive for long distances and within big cities, they can save you time for shorter trips. Here's an example of how I made up for a mistake from the previous point by using Uber. I wanted to visit Atagonen Butsuji, a temple near Arashiyama. I knew a bus could take me there, but I hadn't checked the schedule in advance. When I arrived to the station, I realized the next bus wouldn't come for another hour. Instead of waiting, I took a taxi and in just a few minutes I was there. Another example, instead of taking a train to Hanade Airport, we found a super comfortable bus from Shinjuku Station. It was cheaper and faster than the train from our accommodation. The key takeaway: don't limit yourself to just one mode of transportation. Japan's system is designed for convenience. You can pay nearly everything with an IC card, making it easy to switch between trains, buses, and taxis. Speaking of IC cards, that leads us to the next important mistake: not getting an IC card. One of the biggest mistakes travelers make in Japan is not using an IC card for transportations and payments. The two most popular options are Suica and Pasmo. These cards work for almost all buses, many vending machines, convenience stores, and even some supermarkets. If you have an iPhone, you can add an IC card directly to Apple Wallet. If you prefer a physical card, you can buy one at a train station in Japan. There was a card shortage recently, but now basic IC cards are available again. A key advantage of the digital IC card is that you can charge it directly with your bank card. However, keep in mind, only MasterCard is accepted for online top-ups. Visa cards don't work for direct recharge. But don't worry, even if you don't have a MasterCard, you can still top up your phone IC card at a train station using a special machine. Why is this so important? Traveling without an IC card wastes time, since buying individual tickets for every ride is frustrating and inconvenient. Avoid the hassle and get an IC card as soon as you arrive in Japan. Going everywhere only during daytime. Japan is experiencing a massive tourism boom, and its narrow streets often struggle to handle the crowds, especially during the daytime. Sometimes the sheer number of people can take away from the experience. One way to avoid this: visit popular spots after dark. For example, on my recent visit to Asakusa Sensoji Temple at night, there were hardly any people around. A few visitors were drawing omikuji, but the usual daytime crowds were gone. Yes, many shops were closed, but the atmosphere was calm, mysterious, and magical. I could actually take in the beauty of the shrine and even snap some solo photos. Sometimes that would be nearly impossible during the day. However, this strategy comes with a downside, and that brings us to the next mistake: not checking the schedule of shrines. Unfortunately, many shrines and public parks close as early as 4 to 5 p.m. I've seen plenty of travelers arrive at a temple in the evening only to be met with locked gates, a frustrating way to miss out on an experience. To avoid this mistake, always check the opening hours before planning your visit. While some places like Asakusa Sensoji and Fushimi Inari shrines are open 24/7, most close early, so you'll need to schedule your visit carefully. Just a little research can save you from this disappointment. Ignoring locations close to touristy spots. I totally get why people go to touristy spots. They're well documented, easy to navigate, and have all the necessary infrastructure. But the real mistake? Not exploring beyond these crowded areas. Take Harajuku, for example. If you only stick to Takeshita Street, you'll just end up in a tourist traps. Overpriced snacks, gimmicky stores, and overwhelming crowds. But just a short walk away, you'll find Omotesando, a stylish avenue with upscale shops and stunning architecture. Meiji Jingu Shrine, a peaceful escape surrounded by a lush forest. Aoyama Ichome, trendy neighborhood with hidden cafes and unique boutiques. All of this within the same area, yet offers a completely different experience. So next time, don't just stop at the main attraction, venture a little bit further and see what else is waiting to be discovered. So these were very common mistakes that tourists do while traveling to Japan. I honestly do some of those still myself. I often forget to check up shrine schedules, and it happens to me a lot, even though I used to live in Japan and I travel there a lot. If the video was helpful for you, please smash that like button. Leave me a comment about those mistakes or anything else Japan travel related. I can help you with your questions. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers and I'm very close to this goal. So please subscribe to the channel. I make videos about Japan, anime, manga and life in general. Watching my other videos will help YouTube to pick up the algorithm and to show that those videos are interesting to everyone. So I'm already working on my next video, so I'll see you in the next one.